I don't know about that first batch. Kind of looks like the pods from Alien. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Mostly From Scratch. I am your host, Mr. Munchies. In this episode I am going to show you how to make Aebleskivers. Aebleskivers are a traditional Danish pancake. I first learned about these about 15 years ago. I was out in California in a small town called Solvets, and they were having their Danish Day festivals, and I came across these Aebleskivers. So let's get zoomed in and go over our ingredient list, and we will get started. Okay, let's go over what we have here. First and foremost, you're going to need an Aebleskiver pan. Let's see if we can get a close-up on this for you. See how this is designed? Now you can find these in places like Bed Bath & Beyond, Bell's if you live in Florida. You can find them online. They come in a lot of different styles. This one holds 7. It's just aluminum. You can find them in cast iron. They'll run you anywhere from maybe 10, 12 bucks up to 50, 60 depending on what type of pan you buy. Okay? Alright, so our ingredients for this will be 1 3/4 cup all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And you're going to need some sort of fat for your pan, so I'm going to be using coconut oil, and I'm going to be using just a skewer to turn them with. Alright, so first of all I'm going to get my pan hot. I'm going to start it out at about 4 and get a little bit of my coconut oil into each well. It's not much, just a little dab, just enough to cover the bottom. You can use regular vegetable oil for this. You can use lard, whatever fat you want to use. I probably wouldn't use butter though. Okay, our fat's in the pan. Alright, so first we want to go ahead and beat our eggs. Add our milk to that. Give it another little whisk here. Add our vanilla to that. Alright. Let's incorporate our dry ingredients. Salt, powder, sugar. Just give that a quick turn around. Make sure everything's incorporated. And now we add our liquid. And stir it up. Now you want your batter to be just about like pancake batter. Now I can see I'm a little thick right now. Now I got to tell you, I cut this recipe in half, so my wet ratio might be a little low, so I'm probably going to add some more milk to this, because right now look how thick this batter is. That's too thick. So if you want the full recipe, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put that in the description below. But cutting it in half, sometimes you're dealing with ratios that aren't quite right. So I'm adding just a little more milk to this. About a quarter of a cup. Alright, I can smell my coconut oil, so that means it's getting up to temperature. Now these, like I said, these are a traditional Danish pancake. If you look them up online, that's what it'll tell you. Even though we would probably consider this more like a donut, or donut hole, maybe. Alright, there we go. That's a little better. That's about the way you want it right there. Is that in focus? See how nice and thin that is? See how that's coming off of the beater there? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer this into a measuring cup just to make it a little easier to pour. Now if you let this set for any amount of time, of course your baking powder is going to start activating and you're going to get a nice airy batter and it will thicken up again. So you want to use it pretty quick, just as you're done making it. Alright, so hoping this is up to temperature by now, so we're going to pour into each well about 3/4 of the way up. And anytime you're dealing with hot fat, just be careful. Take your time. You don't want this to splatter on you. Alright, we've got all our wells full. Tasty, even as batter. Okay, now as they start to cook, you want to take your skewer and start turning it nice and gentle. A little bit at a time. That one's not quite ready yet. Could probably go up a little bit more on the heat. I'm going to crank this up just for a second to get that pan hot. Of course the batter was cold, so it cooled the pan off a little bit. But you'll be able to tell when they're getting ready to start to turn, because you'll see how that lip is right there. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you. There. Alright, so start to turn it. Let it cook a little bit. So what you're doing is making a ball. Now it's been a long time since I've made these. And my first batch probably is not going to come out that great. Now, turn it back down. I'm going to stick it at about 4. And just keep turning them. And let the batter on the inside roll out. And it's going to form a ball. Well, that one looks nice right there. Now it takes a little practice to get these just right. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've made them, so my first batch is probably not going to come out that great. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and finish these off, use the rest of the batter, and we'll pick the best ones. But you kind of get the idea. As they're cooking, just keep turning them with your skewer and let the raw batter pour back out into the pan. Alright, so let me break away and cook up the rest of these, and I will be right back. Okay, check these out. These are your Aebleskivers. Aebleskivers. Pebble squeezers? I always have such a hard time with that name. But anyway, there they are. They're done. Alright, so let's pan up here a little bit. Come back here. Let me fix this camera here. There we go. Okay, so typically these are served with some sort of jam, a little powdered sugar on top, and some raspberry jam. Now let me show you. Of course, this was the nice ones that came out of the second batch. First batch had to get my temperature right, had to get the turning time right, but this is the first one here. We'll get it. Focus on that. There we go. Now these will typically form hollow because you're turning it and turning your your raw batter to the outside. So what you can do if you want to get adventurous with this stuff, like I always say, these recipes are more like guidelines. You can take a pastry bag and fill it with either some sort of pudding, chocolate pudding, vanilla pudding, banana pudding. You can use some sort of custard. You can sprinkle these with cinnamon and sugar. A lot of different things you can do with them. Very versatile. And as far as taste goes, it kind of tastes like a funnel cake. Is probably the closest thing. Let me open this up just a little bit more. There we go. It's probably the closest thing that I can describe the taste to. So let's take one, get our jam, give it a try. See the hollow in there? Still kind of steaming too. So I said you can fill these almost like a cream puff. Yeah. But they're pretty quick, pretty easy. You want to make something different for the kids on Saturday morning instead of regular pancakes, you can do this. Serve them with maple syrup, butter, whatever you put on your pancakes. Do something different with them. If you give it a try, let me know in the comment section below. So I think that'll do it for this episode. So give the Aebleskivers a try and let me know what you think. And make sure you check out some of my other videos. I'll put the links on either side. I'll put that subscribe button somewhere around here so you can press that. Don't forget to hit the notification button. And yeah, I think that'll do it for another episode of Mostly from Scratch. I'm your host, Mr. Munchies, so everybody plate up and chow down.